Wisdom Water,
Hey.
you're here at Cymru Beats 2017. It's taken me 3 years to be able to pronounce that correctly.
Yeah.
So you've got a beautiful setup here. You're doing a set a little bit later on. I mean, it's very, very nicely laid out. You've got a lot of electron gear. So how does it all? What's the signal flow?
So basically, the Octatrack is kind of the brain of everything. It sends MIDI out everywhere, tempo everywhere, and it controls 2 voices in the modular, which is the loquetic, guitaritas, and braids for different things. It's just easier because sometimes there are just too many things to switch at the same time.
Sure.
And you might as well kind of just plan it a little bit. And basically the rhythm is going into Octatrack for some like filter processing and stuff.
Right, so you've got quick crossfades for taking out the dropping the bass and all that sort of stuff.
And then the main Octatrack output is going into heat just to kind of bring more depth to the sound from the Octatrack itself. And then in the modular setup, everything, my voices are basically braids, loquelic, then Dixie with the FM8 and the dual oscillator. All those 4 voices are going into the ER301, which is like a sampler, but it gives you, it's kind of like a whole FX processor stuff.
Ah, right, so you're doing a lot of that in real time.
Yeah, so it's easier for me, with just one voice I can create kind of polyphonic melodies.
Ah, so you kind of
Because
looping and layering.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, that's clever.
And so, yeah, that gives it more depth as well. It just gives me more flexibility in terms of how much sound I can get out of it.
So you've got a number of voices. I mean, I noticed you. Is this the modular sequencer?
Yeah, basically it sequences the Dixie and the dual oscillator, and then it also does some resets for the ER301 because it's still in the beta firmware, and
so
you can't instantly switch to a different preset or something.
So this is the ER101. I've heard a lot of good things about this.
Yeah.
Complex, but it looks like you were able to do quite a lot.
Yeah, and also I tried this time to kind of, for the Dixie voice, you can see here that there are 2 inputs, and they're coming from the Octatrack track. And basically, so if I decide to arm the certain track, it will output what's coming from the Octatrack. And then you can switch back to what's coming back from the ER101. So you can kind of like bring in melodies from different places.
Oh, that's clever. So you're blending, it's like using record arm as a routing system.
Yeah. It doesn't actually record anything, it just kind of streams the node data into the oscillators.
Oh, that's neat. And so all of it, is the heat taking care of everything, or just the electron
It's just the electron stuff. Because I think for modular, if I use the heat, it would just be too much.
Yeah, because it does sound
it's
pretty
already
massive.
Big sound, and you don't really want to kind of just make it a mess. In a way.
And so you have a mixer on stage as well.
Yeah. So the first 4 channels are the 4 channels of the ER101.
Yep.
And then this channel is the Moog and the heat. So it's basically, I tried to make it as simple as possible because sometimes you forget to kind of fade in a certain part, something like that. And this way it's kind of like, I don't know, it just makes sense.
Let's call that unity, shall we?
Yeah.
So, I mean, having faders and mutes really makes a big difference to you live. You just don't get tired. I mean, that's the problem with, I guess, rack-mounted mixers. Certainly modular. It's a great idea, but they're actually quite fiddly to use live, aren't they? Right? Still, I mean, I'm sure someone will
I think I could actually have a mixer without faders, just maybe knobs to make it smaller. Because I don't know, for me it doesn't really make much difference.
It's just
more
up or
about
down.
the size, yeah.
So you're using the Sub 37 as well?
Yeah, it's at first when I started kind of writing stuff on the modular, I was having one voice that was just missing from it, and the Moog can just give you.
It certainly fills up a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I didn't hear it, or I didn't see you using it. I mean, it may well be playing something.
It's just it has some sequences from the Octatrack. And then I have a pedal here just for a cutoff. Because I find that if I'm already here, then I can miss out on something that's going on there or something like that. So in this way, it's just there to give me the
Are you running the sub off MIDI or off
MIDI.
CV? Right,
yeah, MIDI. But then the Sub 37 is going into modular, it gets amplified here. And then it goes into the blinds for the sidechain.
You need more gain for the Sub 37?
Yeah, maybe I don't actually need to, but first I just thought, because it's line, I thought you need to boost it, but then you can see here that the volume is actually just at 2. So
Ah, right.
I don't think it would actually make any difference, but yeah. But the reason why is because I can sidechain everything to the kick coming from here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually forgot to set it up yet, but basically the kick is coming from the rhythm. It goes into mutable ears, and then whenever it reaches a certain threshold, it outputs a gate, and then I can use that gate to trigger an envelope that will then kind of bring the bass down once the kick comes in.
Wow, okay. So, I mean, do you find that your setup is static, or are you constantly evolving it and tweaking it around?
Yeah, every time is a bit different. This time I tried to take a bit more to just see if it makes sense to bring more. But I think this is as big as it is going to get for the live performance.
Still pretty compact, though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We'll see you on another time. Have a great
Awesome.
gig.
Thank you. Cheers.